So the goal of this video is to share with you the two different arithmetic series formulas. So basically, how do we add up terms in an arithmetic series? After that, we're going to go through two quick and easy examples. The next video in the series is going to be some more complicated examples, and definitely the kind of things that you need to know for the IB exam. But first, I wanted to give you the two formulas. These two formulas, by the way, are both in the IB formula booklet, which is provided for you on the exams, and that you should definitely use as you're working through these practice problems. So the first one says that the sum of the first n terms of an arithmetic sequence is n over 2. In other words, the number of terms that you have divided by 2 times u1 plus un. So, and I sort of want to highlight here, what do we need here? We need the number of terms, the first term, and the last term. If you have those three things, then you should use this first formula. Okay? The other formula says that the sum of the first n terms is n over 2 times 2u1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference. Okay? And to be honest, I sort of want to point something out here. This really isn't that surprising, because you may remember the formula for the nth term of an arithmetic sequence was u1 plus n minus 1d. And so the idea is simply, if you take this and plug it in here, you'll end up getting this formula. So really they're the same formula, it's just a question of how they're organized. In order to use this formula, we need slightly different information. We still need the number of terms. I still need to know what the first term is, but this time, instead of needing the nth term, I need the common difference instead. So in some sense, these two formulas really boil down to, do you need, or are you looking for the nth term, the last term being added up, or the common difference? Depending on which one of those you have or need, it'll help you choose which formula to use. Okay? So the two examples I have, I'm going to use, one of them will use one formula, one of them will use the other formula. So this first example that I have, the first term of an arithmetic sequence is 3. In other words, u1 is 3. And the 13th term is 51. That means u13 is 51. And they're asking us to find the sum of the first 13 terms of the sequence. So they basically want us to find S13. Okay? Well, in this case, we have a first term, we have a last term, and because they want S13, we basically know that n has to be 13. Because those are the pieces of information we have, it makes the most sense for us to use the first formula. Okay? And like I said, these are simple problems. We're just going to plug things in. S13, the sum of the first 13 terms, will be 13 over 2 times 3 plus 51. That ends up being 13 over 2 times 54. Sometimes these problems will be non-calculator problems. When this does happen, please don't divide this and get 6.5. If the 2 doesn't go into the 13, it'll generally go into the 54. So you can say S13 is 13 times 54 divided by 2 is 27. And you can either multiply that out by hand or, get a calculator for it. Anyway, either way, I'm getting 351 here as the sum of the first 13 terms of this sequence. Okay? Very simple when they're asked this way. The next example, the first two terms of an arithmetic sequence are -6 and -2, so they just told us that the first term is -6 and the second term is -2. They want us to find the sum of the first 20 terms, so they want S20. Well, here's the deal. If they want S20, that means that n in this problem is forced to be 20. So you'll notice, in this problem, they did not give us u20. Right, u20 is what we would need. We would need the 20th term in order for us to use the first formula. Right? We have the first term, we have the second term. They want the sum of the first 20 terms. So it's sort of, we recognize we're going to use the second formula. The S20 equals 20 over 2 times the 2 times the first term plus 20 minus 1 times the common difference. But I'm sort of leaving some things out on purpose here. How do we figure out what the common difference is? This should be an easy thing, but if you're not immediately seeing it, pause and think for a minute. How are you going to find the common difference here? Hopefully you recognize that if you know the first and second terms are -6 and -2, we know that the common difference has to be -2 minus -6, the second term minus the first term, means the common difference has to be 4. So now that I have that, I can plug back in up here. S20 equals 10 times 2 times -6 plus 19 times 4. So the sum of the first 20 terms is 10 times -12 plus 76. That's 10 times 64. So the sum of the first 20 terms is 640. Okay. That problem was maybe less immediately accessible. That was maybe one step up from the previous problem, but I would still consider both these problems to be quite easy problems. The problems that I'm going to get into in the third video in our sequence here are not impossibly hard, but definitely require a little bit more thought and a little bit more working. But the takeaway I want you to have from this lesson is when you've got two different formulas. It's not like one of them is better, it's just that certain ones apply in certain circumstances and not in others. So I will see you in the next video for those other examples.